The more you step on me, the more you press on me, I prepare myself like a spring. I have a mission to do. My name is Nalum. I'm from Cambodia. I was a doctor. I was director deputy at the main national hospital in Phnom Penh during the takeover by the Khmer Rouge. I was in charge of a ward of toddler and newborn. At that time, there are a lot of sick children, a lot of disease. I get to know these children. They don't know how to talk, to express their pain. They look at you, okay, and I say, okay, I'm going to help you. I remember clearly that day, April 17, 1975, when the Khmer Rouge took over all over the country. I'd been working in my hospital. The young Khmer Rouge came in and they asked me to leave right away. Realizing that something was wrong, I asked them, but how about our children? Without being attended 24 hours, they die. Those young Khmer Rouge soldiers said, no, you have to leave. My feeling of helplessness, of sadness, I still bear in my mind. Those children would die. In a few hours, it's collapsed, like the sky falling on our head, and we get lost, everyone. You lost your faculty of reasoning. The young Khmer Rouge, they know only one thing. That is to obey unconditionally their Angkar. That means the party, the supreme organization. In the eye of communism, a human being has no value until he serves the political party. During our deportation, our march, long march, we start to understand better who's Angkar. They are communists, but they hide behind this label. Angkar is anonymous. Anonymous is very powerful. You can say, is it Khieu Samphan? Is it Pol Pot? Is it Ieng Sary? It's Angkar. And they prefer to keep this mythic and mysterious. What is happening is a hell on earth. Not only for my family that died, but for my whole country, my whole people. The whole country is a camp. You cannot go from this point to this point, no. It's an invisible wall, labor camp. We don't have the right to talk, we don't have to even laugh, never laugh. You communicate between yourself by maybe another body language or another look. You use rather your eye than your tongue. They rely only on violence, on lies, on manipulation. I cannot adhere myself to anything that would work against humanity, against the human nature. So I cannot become a communist. I learned very quickly about their manner of lying, of fabricating things. I said, okay, I support. But when the time comes, when the opportunity presents itself to me, I said, I stand up. I decided to escape. when the opportunity would present itself, I would be ready to go into the jungle. It would be a jungle between the Thailand and Cambodian border. Even though I know that I have to go into the unknown, I get this kind of courage. I quit my village April 16, 1976. In the jungle now, I have a lot of obstacles to overcome. I get thirsty, I get dehydrated. I have to walk only in the day, but the night I have to climb into the tree and sleep into the tree. My mind started to be foggy. I would fall and injure myself. I've been chased by a barking dog. Someone shoot at me and I had to run in zigzag. I did this for 3 weeks. Finally, I get into Thailand. I said to myself, I'm safe. I cry. Still today. Sorry. So what I would say here about the killing field of Pol Pot 35 years ago, the tragedy is unfinished. This kind of tragedy sometimes keep continuing, but change form, change shape. Even though in Cambodia, we see the form of a constitutional monarchy with parliament, with constitution. It's just the appearance to show the international world that Cambodia is a democratic country. But the reality behind the curtain is different. There's still communism. They change only the mask. I had to overcome many orders, many obstacles to reach freedom and tell to the world the truth. It's time to do something to be heard. I am a witness of communism.
I am Daniel Magai. I came from Szeged, Hungary. I won this gold medal in the Olympics in Australia 1956 for fencing, and I'm a witness of communism. I grew up under very, very good circumstances. We had an estate. My father did very, very well, and I had a beautiful childhood. My father was a decent person. He cared about people who worked for us. He did a lot of good for them. But then the war came. That was a shock. When the Russians came over, everything turned upside down. Under the communist system, they started developing the Hungarian KGB. The people who were willing to compromise themselves and be part of the system, they ruled the system. My father never compromised himself. He was a rebel. Whether the Nazis or the communists, he didn't like to take orders from anybody. It's really these kind of people like us were called the enemy of the state by definition. That's how they looked at it. We got a letter from the KGB that we have to leave from our place, so we had no place to go. The only place my father could find was an old abandoned shoemaker's shop, which nobody would even dream of living in. The only job he could get was to go and spray the mosquitoes at the river with DDT. We just didn't really have enough money even to eat. That was the time when people started disappearing. That was a really scary part of my life, and my feeling was that they knew a little bit about my fencing. And for the communists, that was very important. I was now good enough to be on the Hungarian team, and I was selected for the Olympics. I think that might have saved us that they didn't take us. I hated the system, that's true. I felt it took my soul. There was really such a thing as political correctness. You knew what you can and can't say. And even now, sometimes you think back at the time when I should have really said what I thought, and I didn't. They made you scared of yourself and betray yourself. But when Stalin died, people started speaking up a little bit, and nothing happened. Very, very quickly, it actually turned into a real revolution.
At the end of a 6-day fight that astonished the world and shook the Kremlin to its foundations, Hungary was free.
We left for Australia for the Olympics during the time when Hungary was free. By the time we arrived, the Russians reoccupied Hungary. The whole thing turned around, and from elation, we went into despair. It happened very quickly, and it was very difficult. Very difficult to decide what to do. We did compete, and we obviously wanted to win. The Hungarian team won the gold medal, so we all have one. There were 50 of us who decided not to go back. The American consul came to Melbourne to give us entries to the United States. So we flew in, and we ended up in San Francisco. Under the communist system, everybody had a secret file. It followed you in your life. By the time when the Hungarian government changed from communist to non-communist, my father was dead by then. But the secret files were still there, and I applied to get my father's secret file. It was quite amazing because here it is, and this is about 300 pages. What you see here is all the various people who were employed spying on my father. And some of these were friends of my father. One of them was a Protestant minister I knew. And the first time I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I knew things are going on, but I haven't realized that it's so detailed. He did say what he thought, but look at what happened to him. Clearly, my father was one of the victims of communism. Every time I think of it, I am extremely grateful to be in this country. When I was free, then I knew how I felt. It's like you are in a cage. That's how you feel. And when they let you out of the cage, then you know what that is. What freedom is.
New survey reveals that young Americans have little understanding of collectivism and its dark and deadly history. The video above is from the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, VOC, whose stated mission is to educate this generation and future generations about the ideology, history, and legacy of communism. It was established by an act of Congress to build a memorial in Washington, D.C. to commemorate the more than 100 million victims of communism. The video provides some highlights, maybe lowlights, is more accurate, of its first annual report on U.S. attitudes towards socialism, which was released yesterday. The survey showed a distinct generation gap regarding beliefs about socialism and communism between older and younger Americans. From the organization's press release, one of the concerns the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation has had since its establishment is that an emerging generation of Americans have little understanding of the collectivist system and its dark history, said Marion Smith, executive director of the organization. Unfortunately, this report, which we intend to release on an annual basis, confirms this worrisome impression. It clearly reveals a need for educating our youth on the dangerous implications of socialist ideals. We will continue to work with educators to build curriculum to address this important need. Here are a few of the report's pretty depressing findings. See above video for more. Approximately 1 in 4 Americans, 26%, and 1/3 of millennials, 32%, believe more people were killed under George W. Bush than Joseph Stalin. A vast majority, 75%, underestimate the number of people killed by communist regimes, more than 100 million. Roughly half of millennials, 55%, believe communism was and still is a problem, compared with 80% of baby boomers and 91% of elderly Americans. Nearly half of Generation Z, the cohort following the millennials, say they would vote for a socialist. 1 in 5 say they would vote for a communist. 64% of elderly Americans, age 65 plus, held a favorable view of capitalism versus only 42% of millennials. Younger Americans were far less likely to agree with the ideas of capitalist Milton Friedman, General Z, 55%. Millennials, 58%, than they were Bernie Sanders, General Z, 71%. Millennials, 71%. The VOC also has a witness project to help keep an accurate memory of communist crimes with a series of videos featuring survivors of communism who tell their personal stories. 2 of those videos are featured below and you'll find more here.